US as well as Asia Pacific. Why did we choose 10.0? Of course, everyone is scared of ramp up, but there were some reasons which forced us or which kind of directed us to 10.0. The main, there are some of the, of course, there are more reasons than this, but I'm just naming some of the few. The main was access control harmonization. As of now, access controls capabilities, RAR, CUP, SPM, and ERM, they all reside separately. You have to go, on all the systems and configure them separately. This is the major enhancement which I think is very important for every customer. They all share same code base, same database, reside on the same system. And of course, it's an ABAP platform which everyone loves it because it's an SAP proprietary language, it's SAP's stronger suite, so it's much more capable than Java, I would say, even though I was a Java developer. Also, it allows us to apply OSS nodes or fixes via, basically apply fix bugs via OSS nodes, which was not possible with Java. Everyone knows about it. 5.3, you got to upgrade to next support pack. Oh, this bug is fixed, you got to upgrade. So every time this was a pain, especially for Levi, because we are connected to more than 30 SAP systems. You got to upgrade to our real-time agents, which are RTAs, as well as the front end, and of course test and validate all the systems, connectivity, integration, all kind of stuff. So this is very important that all the capabilities are harmonized and they share the same code base and database. Just one example as well, you do not have to go in all the 4 capabilities again and keep creating connectors one by one. You create connector once and that would be shared by all 4 capabilities. Workflow. Workflow is the most important piece. Everyone knows that CUP actually uses uses workflow as well as RAR, ERM. They all use workflow, and even the Firefighter or SPM. Now that workflow is built using SAP Business Workflow, which is much more flexible. Of course, it's a little complex, but it's much more flexible as well as it supports multi-tiered routing. What I mean by multi-tiered routing, and just to give an example from Levi perspective, you cannot have a parallel path as of now depending on the system selection. So for our non-production system, I do not want the risk analysis to run and it should go on a separate path where the controller does not have to mitigate the risk. But whereas for production requests, I want controller to look at the SOD violations, which was not possible in 5.3 and which is a big enhancement now that you can have, depending on the system selection, the path would be different. Unified compliance platform. Basically now access control shares the data model and interfaces with process control and risk management. So Levi, if and when Levi decides to implement process control 10.0, this is going to act as a base and we can start with 10.0 and keep ramping up on process control and risk management. Integration with a lot of different IDM solutions. I'm sure you guys attended the keynote and they already spoke about it. The way we wanted to integrate IBM Tivoli Identity Manager, it was not possible with 5.3, and now it is possible because the way it is ABAP technology, we just wrote our own custom ABAP program and it's able to connect to iTeam and we are able to do the provisioning capability, use the provisioning capability of iTeam as well for other non-SAP systems. And another reason why we wanted to go to 10.0, of course, we participated in the customer validation program. One of the only 2 customers worldwide who participated in the program. We went to the solution. My first task was to make sure that whatever we have configured in access controls 5.3 works in 10.0. Because that should be the base criteria. We got to make sure that it behaves the same way which we have been seeing throughout the years. So that was another reason, and which forced us, of course, to go with the ramp-up program. There are always pros and cons of becoming early adopters. I see the pros as we get full-time SAP support. I can call them anytime throughout the day and email them and I get the response right away. Which of course you wouldn't get it once the product is generally available. Now, they have been great help. I just want to shout out to Sai and Banu because they have been great help, and whatever I have seen from Access Controls 10.0, I'm thoroughly impressed. All of this basically will help us to reduce the total cost of ownership because it eliminates redundancy in administration and configuration. I do not have to configure all these capabilities one by one. Once I configure RAR, then I create the connectors or even set up business process sub-processes, they all would be shared by ERM, CUP, RAR. So it reduces the total cost of ownership. Simplified training. As Eric mentioned, we have two separate GRC access control 5.3 live instances, one for Asia Pacific and one for US. And now we are going live with Europe. We may have needed to have another GRC instance. So we are talking about three separate instances, three different trainings, presentations, 3 sessions for end users, administrators, support persons, approvers, all those. So now we will have a streamlined global training program for GRC. Reduced overhead. What I mean by reduced overhead is now we will have one set of servers. Same thing. We do not have to manage 2 or 3 separate global or GRC access control production instances. We will just have one set of servers. Another major reduced overhead is that we have installed Access Control 10.0 in virtual machine, which is a big deal because Java we tried, I have tried at different customers as well. We couldn't do it, of course, due to memory leaks, performance issues. As of now, we have installed all our QD, QP, everything on virtual machine. So which is a big overhead. Some of the benefits for Levi Strauss & Company just pertaining to Levi, and of course you guys will resonate with those as well. Access risk management. We will have single global GRC instance with support for multiple rule sets. This was a big thing why we had to decide to have separate Asia Pacific instance as well as US instance because we had separate rule sets for both the instances. And it was not possible in 5.3 to have multiple rule sets because CUP can only run risk analysis against the default rule set. So this is a major enhancement, and it is great. I have tasted it; it works great, and you know, we can especially have now the actual global GRC instance. Object-based security. We all went through UME, Java stuff, assigning AE approval roles or RAR roles, but that never drilled down to actual granular security because it was Java. Now it's a web-based security. Our SAP security team can do much more with and provide better granular security. We can now control who can see what or who can do what in GRC. Enhanced reporting. I can't stress enough on this one. Reporting was good, but it was nightmare still because it was very technical. You got to combine a lot of reports, run access queries, Excel macros before we present it to business. Now that when I look at RAR 10.0 reports, they are much more business friendly. You can actually customize the reports right on the screens, and you can integrate it with business objects. As Jim mentioned in the keynote, you can connect to Crystal Report Viewer, so you can do a lot more, and it's much more presentable to business than before. Streamlined user access management. The biggest enhancement I saw here is the template-based request and approval screens. What I mean here is now, if you guys remember, whoever has been using CUP, there was only one screen to have end-user personalization. Now you can have more than one end-user personalization screens. Depending on the type of user, depending on the region, they would see a different end-user personalization screen. You can connect different end-user personalization screens to different approval stages. So manager doesn't need to see all the nitty-gritty of the request here. So manager would see a little different screen than a role owner or maybe SOD approver. So that is a big enhancement. We did not use ERM, but this feature is forcing us to start using ERM, so we are going to implement ERM in phases, of course. When we are going live as of 16th of May, we won't be using ERM fully, but this feature is huge. Business role governance. Levi is not an SAP HR shop, but we still use position. We basically map position out of our Aries database to SAP technical roles. I'm sure some customers do that as well. And we have every position has 20 to 50 business, SAP technical roles. Now it was so tough to configure that in CUP. You can still use role mapping. I know people will say that you can use role mapping and you can map 50 roles to one role, but still it was cumbersome. Now that you have a business role governance template where you can add whatever number of roles you have to a business role, the business role acts as a container which we actually map it to a position at Levi. And what actually I could do, it has embedded risk analysis. So when I tried to do this with 5.3, if I go to raw screen, I wanted to find out if this position has violations or not. I have to add those 20 or 50 roles while doing role risk analysis, and I'm sure you guys know how cumbersome is that, because you cannot upload a spreadsheet, you cannot copy paste, you have to add the roles one by one. And once you find violation, again going back, removing one role, figuring out. Now you can actually just run the risk analysis against that business role, which is the container for all those SAP technical roles, and it will give you result, intra-role violation result for those particular roles. Centralized emergency access management. This is big as well, and as Eric already spoke in the keynote, the big advantage for me as an administrator and architect is I do not have to go through 10, or maybe we are using SPM on 8 SAP systems. I got to configure 8 different SAP systems, and if there is an issue, I got to go through all the systems, applying support packs, all those stuff. Now GRC Access Controls 10.0 acts as the SPM hub. So I just configure firefighter IDs, owner, controller assignment into just in one spot, and then I'm done. Even if I need to administer something, I need to look at the logs. I just need to go at the GRC 10.0 box. What this helps as well, firefighters, they remember your support users or firefighters, even they would be part of more than one SAP system. If they need to resolve an issue, they got to log into separate SAP systems. They don't need to do that right now. In 10.0, they just log into 10.0 box. It will list all the firefighter IDs they have available in different SAP systems. From 10.0 box itself, they can click on log on button, and they can perform the activity by logging into that particular SAP system. This is important, and Eric already spoke about the firefighter log report. So these are some of the major benefits for Levi Strauss & Company, and as we mentioned, we are going live as of now. We have pretty aggressive deadline, going live on 16th of May. Thanks a lot for attending. These are some of our contact information. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. And after Sharp is done with the presentation, we have open question and answer session. Thanks everyone.